Things are heating up with the Donald Trump issue in New York as the United States Congress now wants to get involved. Jim Jordan wants to have some sort of hearings relating to this. The Manhattan DA has now sued Jim Jordan as the feud escalates. The lawsuit accuses Jordan of a campaign to intimidate and attack, so that's exciting. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg on Tuesday sued Jim Jordan for what he called unprecedented, brazen, and unconstitutional attack by members of Congress. The 50-page lawsuit alleges Jordan has launched into a transparent campaign to intimidate. Okay. Jordan, one of Trump's biggest supporters, has led the charge against Bragg, along with other GOP chairs of influential committees. The chairman last month demanded documents relating to Bragg's investigation and testimony from the district attorney himself. I don't think the courts are going to get involved in this. Seems unlikely. You know, it's like it's politics, and the courts probably are not going to get into this. Jim Jordan can't be sued for anything he said because of the privileges relating to the speech and debate clause in the Constitution. It's part of the Constitution. As part of his official role, he has absolute immunity, complete immunity for his comments. So he can't sue for that because speech and debate clause, can't sue. If he wants to hold hearings, what are you going to say? It's not part of Congress's role? Good luck on that. I look forward to this court match. Last week, Jordan subpoenaed someone to give a deposition relating to his role in investigating the business. The person is a former prosecutor in the office who resigned last year over reluctance to pursue the case. The lawsuit seeks to stop enforcement of the subpoena, arguing basic principles of federalism and common sense, as well as binding support court precedent forbids Congress from demanding it. I don't know about that. Congress has no power to supervise state criminal prosecutions. Yeah, that's true to some degree, but Congress has a lot of power to hold hearings, and there might be some federal interests in there. And to the degree that the federal government thinks that this is corruption or using color of law rather than actual law to use political ends, there might be federal interests in there somewhere. So they don't have power to supervise legitimate state proceedings. But of course, well, Congress might want to have some hearings on whether or not they're legitimate. Congress doesn't also, they say, have the power to serve subpoenas for personal aggrandizement of investigation or punish those who are being investigated. The lawsuit accuses Jordan of participating in a campaign of intimidation, retaliation, and obstruction. This isn't obstruction. And intimidation and retaliation, I don't know about that. The back and forth between Bragg and Jordan has continued as the House Republican announced plans to hold a hearing on it in New York as well. So that will be good. On the House Judiciary Committee, chaired by Jordan, will hold a field hearing in New York to discuss victims of violent crime in Manhattan. So that's kind of fun. They're on the road, traveling on the road. So it's like we'll hold our hearings in New York for no particular reason, I'm sure. There, the lawmakers will examine Bragg's crime policies that have led to the dangerous community for residents. A spokesperson for Bragg's office said, "Don't be fooled. The House GOP is coming to the safest big city in America." I question that, but okay. For a political stunt. Well, I mean, it is a political stunt because that's what Congress does, politics. That is in the nature of Congress. So saying that Congress is doing something political is like saying the sky is blue. The hearing won't engage in actual efforts to increase public safety, such as supporting national gun legislation and shutting down the iron pipeline. Ooh, the iron pipeline that allows guns to be transported between states, I'm sure. Okay. If Chairman Jordan truly cared about public safety, he could take a short drive to Columbus, Dayton, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Akron, or Toledo instead of using taxpayer dollars to travel hundreds of miles out of the way. Ha 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 ha. Not long after Bragg lawsuit was filed, Jordan tweeted, "First they indicted president for no crime, then they sued to block the congressional oversight when they asked questions about federal funds." There is a dispute over whether or not federal funds were used as part of this investigation, which of course might also give Congress the ability to investigate if federal funds were used. during the investigation. So, it's more of the trading of barbs and stuff, and the district attorney has sued to try to stop this, and Congress has gone to Congress, and that's all the stuff that's happening in this case. I try to speak to legal issues as best as I can. And in cases like this, where the legal and political blend very heavily, because you're trying to interfere with Congress, which its nature is political, right? And so you're like, okay, well, you're trying to use a legal process to stop a political process, and all kinds of issues. And Congress's ability to hold hearings. I mean, they hold hearings on everything. So the courts are probably not going to get involved because that's usually how this goes. They'll delay for a while and they'll moan at each other, and the courts usually are like, I don't want to be involved in this. So someone else can figure it out. So yeah, Congress gonna Congress. And then, also with, of course, the Trump indictment itself. It's like it's hard to avoid the political aspects of it. But this is worse. I mean, as far as the political aspects go, because at least in the Trump case, you could try to sever off the political elements, right? And be like, we're just going to do this in pure law. I mean, you could try to do that, at least in principle. I'm not sure the degree to which that is prudent, but you could. You could. It's like, I'm not going to do politics at all. That's just pure law. And then in this one, it's like, well, you literally can't separate the politics because the politics are literally part of the underlying legal cause of action. So it's even worse.